Napakainit na issue ang illegal immigration dito sa Amerika. Ito ang dahilan kung bakit nanalo si President-elect Donald J. Trump.
The president's been clear on this. We're going to concentrate on public safety threats. But in sanctuary cities, where they don't let us take that public safety threat into custody and the safety and security of a jail, we have to go find him. If he's with others in the country illegally, ICE will not turn the blind eye to that. ICE is going to uphold the oath they took. They're going to enforce the laws enacted by Congress and signed by a president. And they're going to do that without apology. I mean, if sanctuary cities force us in this position, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Now, what do we have to do to fix it? Mr. Fabricatore, a guy who's on the front lines, what do we have to do to fix it?
Number one, we need to make sure that we're giving the money to, especially enforcement removal operations, to go out and detain, arrest, detain, and remove illegal aliens. That's the bottom line of what we have to do. We have to say, this is a situation that we have. We need to put money toward this so that we can be effective.
Once you start repatriating, once you start removing individuals who came here illegally, that's going to send a message. That's going to create an incentive I think in the right way. Because right now all the incentives are the wrong way.
Yes.
No wall, no wait, and you won't be detained. Everyone comes. So you got to change those incentives. That will start to do that.
It absolutely will. Letting the men and women know of ICE, of ERO, that they have your backing and they can go out on the street and actually enforce the immigration law. That's all that they're asking to do. That's what President Trump wants to do.
Yep.
He wants to make sure that we go out and the immigration law is actually enforced.
15 seconds, Mr. Newman. I'll give you the last 15.
Yeah, but it's you have to fund the resources for ICE to get the job done. You have to show to people in this country illegally that you could be caught and you could be sent home.
Well, this committee is committed to helping the administration have the resources to enforce the law and fix the problem. I yield back to the chairman.
Ms. Scanlon.
Ms. Vaughn, did the Biden administration improve the immigration system and border security?
No, the Biden administration dismantled the controls, guardrails, limits, and turned programs into purposes for which they were never
Every
intended.
community on the border knows they did it. Did the Biden administration improve the immigration system and border security?
No, we have more illegal alien criminals on the street today because of the Biden administration.
Yeah, they're trying to say, don't believe your lying eyes. Of course we know it's gotten worse. The cost of the education system, the healthcare system, the public services in those communities, unbelievable. So why would they intentionally? Why would they do this? That's what I've been trying to figure out. Why would an administration say we're going to deliberately create the chaos that 77 million Americans, I think all Americans know, has taken place over the last 4 years?
Looking at what they've done and looking at the policies, what's very clear is that there's been an intentional desire to get as many people into the country as possible and keep them here.
Why would our government do this to our nation?
Because they don't want any limits on immigration and because no one could stop them.
Mr. Fabricatore?
There was a definite open border agenda at the last 4 years, and that is exactly the way that I see it.
You think there's, again, hazard to guess at the motivation. What do you think the motivation is?
Well, you know, it's hard to guess at allowing so many illegal aliens to enter into the United States. It's something that when you actually look at it and you look at the numbers, it's unfathomable to even think that many people were allowed, the gotaways, the 2 million gotaways that were allowed in this country, that we have no idea who they are. It's to me, I have no idea why they would allow that to happen.
I don't get it either, particularly when you think about what happens to kids on this journey when they come to the country, what happens to women, the terrible things that take. I don't get it. And for them to try to say it was wonderful and it was an improvement, I don't get that either, because nobody believes that. I think earlier the ranking member said the asylum system was overwhelmed during the Biden administration. Why was it overwhelmed? Because they just opened everything up. No wall, no way, remain in Mexico. And when you get here, as you pointed out in your testimony, Mr. Fabricatore, you won't be detained, you'll be released.
Anong ahensya ng gobyerno ang pwedeng mag-remove sa mga non-US citizens? Pakinggan natin ang warning ni Tom Homan, ang bagong ICE director.
ICE they're out there enforcing law out today. And of course, as I've said numerous times, they're concentrating on public safety threats. That'll be our priority right out of the gate. So ICE officers are back to doing their job.
Where are these, are they actual raids? And how is it different from what we saw yesterday or the day before?
Well, look, I wouldn't call them raids or target enforcement operations. They know exactly who they're looking for. They know pretty much where they'll find them. So again, these are well-planned operations. They're well investigated, so they have a lot of backup information when they go out there. A whole team goes out for officer safety concerns. So this happens throughout the nation. I mean, I'm not going to tell you specific locations out of officer safety concerns, but ICE is back doing their job effective today. They haven't been able to do it for years.
Well, I'm going to follow up on that in 1 second, but who is ICE going after right now? I know that you and others said several times that it is the people who pose the biggest public safety threat to Americans who would be approached and deported first. Is that still the case?
Yes, people in the country illegally that have a criminal conviction that makes them a public safety threat. That's our priority.
How are you finding them?
Again, these ICE officers across the country have a non-detained docket. They know who these people are. When they don't show up in court, they fail to leave as ordered by an immigration judge, or they have, NCIC information on someone who was arrested for a violent crime here that's in the country illegally. They take those leads, they do investigative work, and through that work, try to find out where these people may be located. And that's the whole investigative piece they do before they go out and actually make an arrest.
And so what is happening as we speak is limited to those with criminal records?
That's the target of this operation, but like I said many times, in places like sanctuary cities where we can't arrest a bad person in the jail, we would like to have access to the jail to arrest a criminal alien in the safety and security of a county jail, which is safer for the community, safer for the officers, and safer for the alien. But when you release a public safety threat out of a sanctuary jail and won't give us access to him, that means we got to go to the neighborhood and find him. And we will find him. But when we find him, he may be with others. Others that don't have a criminal conviction but are in the country illegally, they will be arrested too. Because we're not going to strike, and this is the difference between the last administration and this administration. ICE is going to enforce the immigration law. There's nothing in the INA, the Immigration Nationality Act, says you got to be convicted of a serious crime in order to be removed from this country. So there's going to be more collateral arrests in sanctuary cities because they forced us to go in the community and find the guy we're looking for.
Let me just make sure that I understand what you're saying, because at first you said that the first targets are those with criminal records, but you are also saying that those who are undocumented in the U.S., also who don't have criminal records, people who are working in their communities, maybe even have spouses who are American citizens, they could be swept up with ICE today as well?
What I'm telling you is when we go find our priority target, which is a criminal alien, if he's with others in the United States illegally, we're going to take enforcement action against him. We're going to enforce the immigration law.
You know, I think that there is some kind of image that people might have, given how much we heard President Trump and you in the months during the campaign, and certainly during the transition, talking about what's going to happen of people being rounded up, loaded on buses, and dropping them off on the border. But there have been a lot of deportation. Deportations? What's going to happen coming up?
That is not accurate. The Biden administration is hiding the numbers. If you look at those removal numbers, over 80% were Border Patrol apprehensions on the border that were immediately removed. They weren't ICE removals. So if you look at what ICE has done in the interior of the United States under 4 years of President Biden, they have the lowest numbers of removals in the history of the agency, despite a historic illegal crisis on the southern border. So they can claim 270,000, 240,000, whatever removals. That's simply not the fact.
Tingnan natin ang mga nag-o-oppose ng deportation ng mga illegal immigrants.
The city of Chicago and the state of Illinois are vowing to protect immigrant communities from President Trump's plans for mass deportations. The Justice Department has ordered federal prosecutors to investigate any local efforts to obstruct, those immigration enforcements.
Marami pong salamat sa pagsubaybay sa aking YouTube channel. Paki-like lang po and subscribe. And I hope everyone is staying safe and have a great day.